The gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Krishnamoorthi, is recognized for 5 minutes-ish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for coming in today. Ms. Tubb, you are a senior policy analyst for energy and environmental issues at the Heritage Foundation, correct?
That's correct.
And you frequently write about climate science, interpreting and translating dense scientific reports for non-experts. In fact, you frequently criticize politicians, media, and others for misinterpreting these reports. And I suppose you must be highly qualified to make those assertions. In fact, the Heritage Foundation proudly lists your qualifications on their website. It says here you were, quote, previously an intern in the office of then Rep. Mike Pence, and you, quote unquote, hold a bachelor's degree in history. Ma'am, you don't have an advanced degree in physics or geophysics, correct?
No, and I don't pretend to.
And you don't have a degree in atmospheric science or meteorology, correct?
No, sir.
Engineering?
Nope.
Math?
Nope, as it says,
Complexity science or systems modeling?
history, sir.
In fact, you don't have an advanced degree in anything, correct?
That's correct.
And you're not a climate scientist, are you?
No.
Neither am I. But in 2015, you wrote for the Heritage Foundation the following. You said, quote, there is little agreement as to how much global warming is attributable to human activity, or even if warming is harmful. Isn't that what you wrote?
Yes, and I stand by.
And you stand by that statement, right?
I do.
And, Mr. Mann, is there little agreement as to how much warming is attributable to human activity?
No, there is.
Sir, let me just go through your credentials just so that we know exactly on what basis you are making that particular statement. You're a professor of atmospheric science, isn't that right?
Yes, I am.
You have a degree in physics.
I do.
You have a degree in applied math.
I do.
You have an MS in physics.
I do.
You have a PhD in geology.
I do.
A PhD in geophysics.
Geology and geophysics. Yeah,
And you're a member of the National Academy of Sciences, isn't that right?
that's correct.
I'm not a member of the National Academy of Sciences. Ms. Tubb, you're not a member of the National Academy of Sciences, are you?
No.
And in fact, Mr. Mann, I think in the IPCC report, it said, quote, it is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and land. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And you believe that to be the case, isn't that so?
The world's scientists believe that to be the case, and I'm one of them.
And in December of 2021, Ms. Tubb, this is what you wrote. What is the nature of global warming? Is it a net positive change, a negative, or some mix in between? Isn't that what you wrote?
Yes, and I stand by it.
Yes, I bet you do. Now, Mr. Mann, how about you? What is the nature of global warming? Is it a net positive change, a negative, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, natural factors have probably offset some of the warming. More than 100% of the warming is due to increased greenhouse gas concentrations because temporary natural factors actually offset some of that warming. All of the warming is due to our activity.
And is the nature of global warming, is that a net positive change, a negative, or somewhere in between for the planet?
The impacts are quite negative and they're getting worse over time.
Now, with regard to their quote unquote being little agreement, according to Ms. Tubb, as to how much warming is attributable to human activity, that IPCC report, Mr. Mann, that I just referenced, it was written by more than 200 scientists, drawing on more than 14,000 individual studies, and it was endorsed and approved by the governments of 195 countries. You don't disagree with that, right?
No, not at all.
How about you, Mr. Van Baal? Mr. Van Baal, can you hear us?
I fully agree with Dr. Mann here.
Now, let me just ask you something, Mr. Mann. What does it mean when we have people, what's the impact of people denying climate science and saying there's little agreement as to how much warming is attributable to human activity?
Well, it provides an excuse for the forces of inaction. And we've already heard about the dark money groups and their relationship with the fossil fuel industry. Look, they understand that if we address this crisis, it's going to hurt their economic bottom line. And they fought tooth and nail to prevent action for decades. That's the harm. It continues this lie that climate change isn't real and it's not human caused and it's not having detrimental impacts.
Thank you, and I yield back.